In this presentation, I will be discussing how my production skills have developed throughout the process. My first preliminary task was creating title pages based on character personalities. I don't think that I was bad at it in the beginning, since the task and the final title don't look too different, but I definitely think that I improved because I learned how to use shades more appropriately. I wish that I could have made the title page a bit more cinematic, but iMovie is limited with title features. For the second preliminary task, I chose the emotions of happy, contemplative, and hopeful, and made short songs in accordance. There were times where it was super noticeable that I hit a string too hard or missed one altogether, but I'm glad that I only hit a wrong string once in my final incidental track. I used the same melodies in my final track as I did in my preliminary task, but I changed the key. This resulted in an outcome that I'm relatively happy with. My third preliminary task was editing a dialogue. Overall, my editing skills greatly increased. There is a point in the task where the editing is noticeable where it shouldn't be. This also happened in my film, but it's more subtle. An example of this is that there are slight jumps in inappropriate places. My shadow is also in the tracking shot, but editing it out was implausible. Throughout the filming process, there were instances that I would have to film shots more than once. Sometimes it would be because my actors weren't doing what I had envisioned. Other times it would be because I didn't explain what I wanted well enough. In the end, we were able to communicate and find a middle ground. As I said in the previous slide, communication wasn't always the best when it came to filming certain shots. Scheduling was another problem that came with poor communication. At the last minute, Jodie, who plays Avalee, told me that she would only be available for one day. At this point, I wasn't near ready to film, so I had to keep postponing meetings and ended up rushing through part of my pre-filming production. Film pacing also proved to be a problem. I was stressing out about running out of time, so I was trying to work as quickly as possible, but my set was on the noisier side, so I had to keep wasting time waiting for the noise to lower down before I could start filming again. One of the biggest problems I had was formatting the dialogue. I wasn't able to finish the dialogue scene at Jodie's house, so I ended up doing it over FaceTime. To keep my face from being in the picture, I had to film vertically. This resulted in the dialogue being surrounded by black and blogger. Another issue is that I had a problem with sound recording. I ended up having to re-record all of my sounds because they would not separate in GarageBand. This issue was minimal, and I'm happy that I was able to fix it. Throughout my experience, I learned how to genre blend, make scripts and storyboards, match auditory and visual elements, and convey symbolism. When genre blending, I learned how to modernize melodramatic music to fit coming of age. This is one of the biggest skills that I learned because it made me realize that the tone of a shot must match the tone of the sound. Learning how to convey symbolism was another skill that I truly grasped because it taught me how to analyze elements more deeply. That's what led me to choosing props such as the notebook and putting my protagonist in all neutral colors. By doing so, I created a juxtaposition of discouragement and hope that I think translates nicely.